Hi, everyone. Welcome to your first section of American literature, 1865 to present day. I wanted to just talk a tiny bit about some of the content from this first week of readings. Thank you for those of you who have done your introductions. I enjoy getting to know each of you a little bit better. We do have a really small class. We only have about 8 of us. So I'm hoping for a tight-knit, intimate group that really delves into and shares things with each other freely. I want to talk a little bit about where we're at in American literature as far as chronology right now. So this section of American Lit, we have taught a section that is pre-Civil War. This section, a more popular section, partly because it is more modern, deals with American literature directly after the Civil War ends, so 1865. And so this first section that we're reading will take us up to the end of the 19th century. And it was a pivotal time of change. You have the advent of the Industrial Revolution, which is forcing people from agrarian or farm life to more urban centers looking for work. You have Black Americans in the South fleeing to the North, also known as that Great Migration, to look for better job opportunities. And you have the change in just the way we see our culture. When we get into the early 1900s, we'll see a lot more pivotal changes, but you do have the upswelling as well of women fighting for the right to vote, the right to have land, the right to have more marital rights, the right to divorce without evidence of abuse. So we are seeing people clamoring for change and growth or progress. Part of this includes a literary movement titled Realism. And realism is similar to the name that it is labeled. It is real people. So this is also a time in literature when America, because America had finally, again, gone through this huge civil war, we're looking to reunify as a nation. They want to have their own distinct style of literature. So we had been reliant upon British literature, primarily. Those were our natural influences, and we want to set ourselves apart a bit more. So you find authors in this realist style who are looking to write about real people, ordinary events, often about middle-class people. It's not, the posh, it is not the well-to-do, it is not the golden glitzy age. It is people who are trying to eke out a living, who are trying to discover pleasures and overcome obstacles. So, kind of like you and I, it is people in the middle. And so you have, excuse me, you have the style of speech reflected more. It is the way people actually talk. I think about some of my favorite authors like Edith Wharton, who has a very flowery style of writing. Realists strip it down a bit more. They're not going to have as many elaborate similes and metaphors. They are going to be more representative of how common middle-class people interact with each other. You also have something that is called local color, and there was an increased interest in this type of local color, as you'd call it. People were curious about how other people lived in different parts of the United States. We are a huge nation, and if you've ever done any traveling outside of the Midwest, you know that there are cultural and speech differences between how people from different parts of our nation talk, interact. I'm originally from Missouri, which is where Mark Twain is from. And Mark Twain, in this first piece you're reading, uses that kind of vernacular of that region. So he will be spelling out the way people speak. People were interested in having that authentic flavor so that they can essentially travel in their mind without having to go to a specific place. We will later see some of this kind of local color with more modern works by people like Flannery O'Connor, who is known for her Southern Gothic style of writing and capturing these interesting, often strange, and sometimes just ugly people, and how they interact. The more nuanced, more sophisticated, if you will, version of local color is known as regionalism. Again, it's capturing a region, but it's usually from one protagonist perspective, and it has been assigned to some degree to more women authors. So think about the works by Kate Chopin, Sarah Orne Jewett. I have a very soft spot in my heart for Kate Chopin. She is also from Missouri. And one of the pivotal books of my college reading experience was reading her short novel, The Awakening, which is controversial. It was controversial at the time that it was published, and it discusses the ultimate freedom or lack of freedom that many women had at the time of its writing. So you're reading two pieces this week, one by Twain, one by Chopin. And as you do so, just think about how these pieces did start to shape how we characterized American literature. That portrayal of real people, ordinary people, middle-class people, overcoming ordinary plots, just things that we have to deal with in our day-to-day lives. And, you know, as you delve into Twain, notice the colorful language that is used, the way that people interact. I mean, it is a tall tale, but he manages to give it a sense of kind of comic timing. I think listening to the story audio version is good to do while you read it, because you get that sort of flavor in your ear. And then as you read Kate Chopin's The Storm, she spent time in the Louisiana area, and that area is known for its Acadians, and the Cajuns and the Creoles. The Cajuns were considered often lower class, whereas the Acadians were considered higher class, but they all have a somewhat interesting mix of French and Southern accent. And so the characters in her story have very French names. And if you listen to the audio version, you will probably hear some of that French pronunciation. So I hope that gives you a bit of a overview of what you're looking at this week. And again, it's been great meeting you on your introductions on the discussion board. And if you do have questions or concerns, please reach out to me via email. Take care, everybody.